good evening, and thank you, Roger, for the lovely introduction, and thank you both for the invite back. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about why this topic, and talk a bit about the context, and then I'm going to dive right in to the subject tonight that I'm bringing is How to Love a Vagina, and I've actually changed the title slightly. It's A Guide for Vagina Owners and Vagina Lovers. And it came from a client who said to me, I wish there was a Haynes manual for women. Do you remember those old car manuals? So it sort of inspired me, and this is my sort of little version. So just a little bit about me. 16 years ago to this very month, my vagina got me into this work. And I was, got me into much trouble since as well. And I was in a place where I did not like my vagina. I thought she was disgusting and actually deformed. And I was terrified of sex, and I knew I had to do something about it. And I went on a women's workshop 16 years ago to this month, actually, and it just blew my whole life open. And, you know, I couldn't even say the word vagina 16 years ago, and here I am standing on stage talking about mine and a lot of other women's. And so I have one of my passions in my work this last few years as well is to really help both vagina owners and vagina lovers to have a better and more healthy and wonderful relationship with the vaginas of this world. So a little bit about language. When I'm talking about vaginas, I'm actually meaning both vulva and vagina, vulva being the external part, vagina the internal. And when I'm talking about vagina owners and vagina lovers, it could be indeed any one of any gender identity or sexual orientation, and you may both be indeed a vagina owner and a vagina lover. And when I'm talking about penetration in this talk, mainly I'm talking about penetration with a penis, but it also may be with a strap-on, sex toys, fingers, all sorts of things. So, I forgot my slides up. So, let's take a little leap back into history. And there was a time where vaginas were really revered. They were a symbol of protection, of healing, of power. And there's many stories of this, and one of my favourites is there's a Catalan saying which says, translated, the sea calms down when it sees a woman's pussy. And the stories that women would be on the edge of the by the sea when the men went off to get the catch, and by flashing their vaginas would wish them an abundant and a catch and safe travels. And I really recommend Regina Tomhouse's book Pussy, which has got many more stories. It's a great starting place. So let's fast forward to 2019, and I think we're in quite a different world. And I'm going to start with some statistics to just give you a flavour of what's happening with the vaginas of our world and our culture. And, you know, this is just a flavour. There's a lot more I could share. It's been a challenge. This is the highlights of sort of what I've been working with for the last few years. So in terms of sexual abuse, at least 1 in 5 vagina owners will experience some sort of sexual assault in their lifetime. And indeed, around 11 adults in the UK are raped, attempted rape, or assaulted by penetration per hour. And the majority of those are vagina owners. So just in the time of this talk, our 2 hours together, around 20 women will be raped or attempted raped. And the effect of that trauma on the whole aspect of on all their lives is massive, and it also has a specific impact on their vaginas and the impact the ability to enjoy pleasure, for example, conditions, pain, numbness. And trauma is not always about assault. For example, a number of women experience trauma in childbirth and have a great relationship up till that point, and that's a changing point for them. In terms of looks, the quest for the perfect porn pussy has seen a massive rise in women seeking labiaplasty. And there was a survey done in 2016 which showed worldwide there was a 45% increase in labiaplasty procedures from 2015. And there's many products on the market, for example, intimate deodorants and wipes and sprays that are very chemically based, and the marketing's got this sort of shaming aspect that there's something to cover up and hide down there. In terms of things like incontinence, 50% of women and vagina owners will experience urinary incontinence at one stage in their life. 1 in 3 women at least will experience pelvic organ prolapse, where either their bladder, their uterus, or their rectum will drop into their vagina. Women will experience a range of infections, so 75% of women will experience thrush at least once. And there's a normalization of these things, like this is just how it is. Indeed, a woman I was talking to went to a doctor with a condition, and the doctor said to her, "It's not bothering your husband, is it? Why are you here?" Now, that's the sort of comment I'd expect in the 1950s, not in this decade. And that's not the first time I've heard things like that. And if you were an alien who just happened to land on this planet and were to watch sex and porn, you would think that vaginas like penetration extremely hard and fast without any touch whatsoever, and even the touch that they like is very hard and fast. 70% of women, is around the statistic, do not orgasm through penetration. And that statistic is bandied around as that's just the way it is. But I actually am not having that, because I believe it's significantly partly to do with the type of penetration that we're having, and also the vagina owner's relationship with their own vaginas is part of it too. There was a worldwide study that found the time it took from penetration to ejaculation in the survey is 5.4 minutes. And many of my clients, both vagina owners and lovers, say that they're very unhappy with the type of penetration that they're experiencing. And in my experience, and often they think there's something wrong with them because they're not enjoying it, and it's actually the type of penetration they're having that we learn such limited ways in terms of focusing on the goal. I see clients that are experiencing painful sex, nearly 1 in 10 women who can't orgasm, don't have any sensation, don't get aroused, aren't getting lubricated, have too much lubrication, they think, so they're worried about that. And they feel like they're the only one and there's something wrong with them. Well, I promise you there isn't. Part of it is down to the massive lack of education that we have, just in sex in general, but also about our vaginas. And all of this has a massive impact on our health and well-being and our sense of who we are, and also on our vaginas. So what's the solution? So, firstly, for vagina owners, what can we do to change this? Take responsibility for your vulva and your vagina. Educate yourself. Just because things like incontinence and thrush and things like this are really common, let's not accept those very low standards for women's health and well-being. So much of it's preventable, and that's what's so sad about it. You know, a massive percentage of it is preventable. And if you have any of those conditions, so much healing is possible. When I had a prolapse a couple of years ago, it was quite terrifying, and I had to go and do so much research to find positive stories of healing. And in the end, I was actually educating the professionals that I went to see about it. So don't give up if you're experiencing any of these things. It often takes real persistence and sometimes can take years. And look after your pelvic floor, not just for your health, but also for your pleasure. That's a whole talk in and of itself. I'm a big fan of the jade egg as a system of looking after the health of your pelvic floor. There's many others. And also there's things that contribute, like our lifestyle. For example, there's younger and younger women getting prolapses because they're hunched over mobile phones and computers. So things like posture and things like that can really play a significant impact. And also, look after your vagina and your vulva. Natural products are really important. Things like natural clothes and things like vaginal steaming. You may have read a lot about yoni steaming. And in fact, the first proper research study has been done recently in the US around this with vaginal steaming in postpartum women. And the results that are coming back are very, very positive. Make friends with her. She really is. You know, if you're going to make friends with somebody, you spend time with them. Make friends with your vulva, your vagina. Many women have no relationship with this part of their bodies, and the only relationship they have is through sex, medical reasons like smears and hygiene reasons, and that's it. Our relationship with our vagina really impacts our sense of self. So let's reclaim this part of our body as something that's ours and not something down there. There's a wonderful teaching by the Kadoshka. It's a book called Sexual Practices of Kadoshka. It's a shamanic sacred sexuality tradition. And they categorize different types of genitals. And they have this amazing categorization of vaginas. And it shows how unique we all are, just as our faces are so unique. And it can be different, the size of our labia, the size of our inner lips and our outer lips, the size of our clitoris, how our clitoral hood is it small, is it always covered? The distance between the clitoris and the vaginal opening will be different. How long we take to get aroused, how much lubrication we produce, the length and width of our vaginal canal, where our G-spot's located, the taste and the temperature and smell, the type of sexual activity that we like based on our own unique configuration. So, for example, some women may prefer oral sex to penetration, for example. So when I first heard this, for me it was so liberating, because it really encouraged me to look at what's true for me rather than what I think I should be or what's expected of me. Give her a name. So many women don't have a name for her, and how can you ask for the pleasure that you want if you don't have a name for her? Look at her in the mirror. If you don't look at your face in the mirror for 20 years, you'll have a shock when you do. And it's exactly the same with your vulva and vagina. And actually, it can be very scary to do that. But as you start to do that, you start to make friends with her. Get to know her personality. I've known women who are really shy, and when they've got to know her personality, they found out she's quite wild. And actually, it's a part of them they've just either not connected with or suppressed. Listen to her messages and start where you're at. If she's numb, if she's painful, if she's juicy, if she's happy, if she's scared, she's got something to tell you. She's like your own innate little erotic GPS system, and you can make your decisions on her guidance, I promise you. She knows better than I do, for sure. Spend time with her, say hello to her, give her a hug, breathe with her, give her a massage, pleasure her, get to know her anatomy. She's so much more than just a clitoris and a vaginal canal. I really recommend Women's Anatomy of Arousal by Sherry Winston to look at this. Relax, slow down and savor her, explore different types of touch and speed and pressure. Honor the time it takes for you as a vagina owner to get aroused. Some women take 35 to 45 minutes, and how many women actually give themselves that time? Be her voice and her advocate. Communicate. It takes courage, honesty, and practice. Make requests for her pleasure. Don't apologize. This feels good, and what would make it even better is. And I'd love it if we went, for example, slower, which is such a common thing that vagina owners tell me, especially about penetration. And for my final slide, now I love this slide because this just sums up what I want to share, and this is for vagina lovers. Appreciate her and admire her, how she looks, how she tastes, how she smells, and tell your vagina owner that you're with. Touch her for comfort and healing, just with no agenda for turning her on. Massage her for pleasure without any goal of orgasm. Get to know her. As with vagina owners, slow down, savor the experience, explore. And when you enter her, whether with a penis or fingers, take time, allow her to open and flower. Slow can be a whole new experience for both vagina owners and vagina lovers. We're so used to hot, intense pleasure in our culture, and it takes time to learn to relax and swim in the warm waters of pleasure. But I promise you, whole new vistas open up when we do. And vagina lovers, ask your partner, how does this feel? What would make it even better? Would you like it slower, faster, firmer, or lighter? Vulvas and vaginas are such incredible, magical places. They're the gateway for life to come through, and they deserve to be honoured and treated with the best of care and attention, pleasure and love by both vagina owners and vagina lovers. So, thank you for listening. I hope there's something in here for you this evening. You can find out a little bit more about me here, and I just want to say a big shout out to Alpha Channeling, who's this incredible erotic artist based in San Francisco, and I emailed and said, could I use your beautiful photos in my presentation? And he came back and said, yes, that was so wonderful. So do check him out, he's incredible. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'm really here to ask any questions. Come say hello. Thank you so much.